I can't understand the actions of my master plan. I can't a nigga rebel in the thoughts of a day. I can't understand the actions of my master plan. I can't a nigga rebel in the thoughts of a day.
Let it just be, innit? Still shitting on niggas. Still shitting on them. Yes, you already know what it is. Look who's back. I know it's been a minute, but man's back in town. Vibe by Water TV and all that good stuff. Happy to have you guys back. Happy to be back. You know, I've been on a little short hiatus, but back in town, you smell me. But yo, I just wanted to drop in for a quick one off the back of that Wu-Tang Clan and Nas New York State of Mind tour London stop off that they just did at the O2 Arena London. Big show. Obviously I was in attendance and I just wanted to talk on that a little bit. Really good show. A show that really stands out because there was so much classic material, so many amazing top tier MCs and lyricists, as we know. If we're talking about Nas, we're talking about Ghostface, we're talking about Raekwon, we're talking about RZA, we're talking about Jizza, you know what I mean? We're talking about Inspector Deck. Obviously Method Man wasn't in attendance for obviously reasons that is between the family, you know what I mean? I'm sure between them guys they know what it is. But obviously Method's got a lot of different things that he's working on currently, so he couldn't be in attendance. But it was still a great show without him. They still performed a lot of his parts and a lot of his records. M.O.T.H.O.D. Man still was ringing off. His part on Triumph, You God covered that. But yo, it was just a great show, man. It was so good to see these man, you know what I mean, 30 years deep plus in the game and still being able to rock out and draw out 20,000 at the O2 Arena across the Atlantic for them, you know what I mean, on international waters over in London. Obviously, Wu-Tang did Park Life on the 11th of June, and then they stopped off in London. So it kicked off, obviously, with RZA coming out, doing his spoken word, doing his beat, doing his part, you know what I mean, giving the origin stories of the Wu and how it came to be and how he formed it. And then in increments, you know what I mean, Jizza came out, and then I believe Raekwon came out, and then Inspector Deck came out, and then Ghost came out, and then obviously the whole clan jumped on stage, and it was rocking out, man. It was really good to see. They performed pretty much all of their big hits. A few undercover cuts that I weren't expecting as well, you know what I mean. Ray and Ghost went back to back on that. Criminology, I didn't expect that, you know what I mean. Jizza obviously done a couple of tracks off of Liquid Swords as well, which was good to hear. And it was just great, man. Obviously the Wu-Tang came with a live band, which was something that actually I was speaking about prior, and how we were saying there was a need for, or wanting to see obviously Wu-Tang and Nas as well with a live band and being able to actually have that show that's on an even bigger showcase level, and definitely they was able to achieve that. And man, it was just a great show, man. The sound was good, you know what I mean? Like really up to date in terms of the sound quality. Stage presence was immaculate as always. These are professionals in this thing, you know what I mean? But it's really good, man. Obviously, a lot of my favorite Wu-Tang songs were ringing off, you know what I mean? Mystery of Chess Boxing rang off. Obviously, Triumph, is what the Wu ended with, and that was crazy. And they went from start to end, the whole 6 minutes just going in, you know what I mean? So that was proper good. On top of that, we managed to get Clan in the front. We heard that. We heard some Jewel of the Iron Mics, you know what I mean? They sprinkled a little bit of that in there, you know what I mean? As I say, Ray and Ghost went back to back on Criminology, so we heard a bit of that. Gravel Pit, they made sure they did that as well. That was crazy. The crowd was going crazy for that one. You know what I mean? The W album, I was really young at the time, but I know the W album, as well as Wu-Tang Forever, but those two albums, the W and Wu-Tang Forever, were really big over in the UK. So people were very much receptive to hearing Gravel Pit, and You God led on that one, which was good to see. So they was able to do that. Obviously Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with, ringing off as expected as always. That's just a classic. That's one that, even if you don't know the music too tough, you can always get involved in that one. So that was pretty good. And then obviously Nas came on stage, and then he did obviously a back-to-back with Ray and Ghost on that Verbal Intercourse off that Only Built Cuban Link shit, you know what I mean? So that was great to hear. Obviously for me, myself, I've heard, or I've seen I should say, Nas once before at a festival in Holland, in Tilburg, called Wuha. I think they've rebranded it now. So I've seen him once before, But I feel like this time round, he had that new energy, man. You know what I mean? This is like, it was real celebratory vibes. And although that show was great, it was in a festival. So, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't a Nas show. So the production wasn't necessarily catered specifically for Nas. And I feel like he just has a new lease of life off the back of KD1, KD2, and obviously KD3. Sprinkle in a little bit of magic with that as well. So, yeah, man, obviously Nas came out. They done Verbal Intercourse. And then obviously they also did Eye for an Eye with Raekwon, Nas and Raekwon, so that was good. Then he went off into the classics. We heard plenty of Illmatic. We heard Represent, Half Times, World Is Yours, One Love. You know what we didn't hear? One thing that actually surprised me now I'm thinking about it, they didn't do Life's a Bitch. I know obviously you would have liked AZ to be in the house for that one, and they could do the back-to-back on that one. But yeah, he didn't perform Life's a Bitch actually, now I think about it. But he did Poison off that Lost Tapes. So that was a deep cut, so that was good to hear. Get Down off Godson was obviously ringing off as well. He did a little bit of It Was Written. Obviously, If I Ruled the World, that rang off. Shit, even some of the Mobb Deep joints was ringing off. Obviously, live nigga rap. You know what I mean? He performed that. Shootouts, he performed that slightly as well. So it was just good to see, man. It was a real celebratory vibe, even at the end. Obviously, Wu-Tang's on stage, Nas was on stage, all together, just celebrating. And some of the old classic, you know, soul and funk jams, and just literally dancing and rocking out on stage. You could tell this was almost like a victory lap, almost, for lack of a better word, from these two giant entities of what is Nas and obviously the Wu-Tang Clan. I feel like in terms of the fanfare, it seems like there was more Wu-Tang fans that was actually in the building, in the doors of the O2, as opposed to Nas. Of course, there was the crossover. There's going to be a lot of people who are like me, who are giant fans of both of them. But I do feel like, you know, when it comes to Wu-Tang, the fan base is just on something else. Like, that W is something different. But it was an amazing show. New York State of Mind. If you're, you know, in a region or in a city where you can maybe go and see some of the follow-up dates that are to come before obviously it draws to a close on the European tour, I would definitely recommend it. Amazing show. If you're about that hip-hop, that real hip-hop, you like that feel, that 90s music and 90s hip-hop, then this is obviously your time to check in and actually, you know what I mean, support the GOATs, really. Like, we're talking about the GOATs in this thing, you know what I mean? This ain't a joke. So definitely thumbs up and the highest praise for obviously the Wu-Tang Clan and Nas, because they was able to come through and shut down London on a Tuesday night. You know what I mean? It's not easy, you know what I mean? Especially when obviously fans and the supporters have just come off a long day of work. You know what I mean? It's different if it's a Friday and you know you got your recovery day on a Saturday and you rock out, or if the show even falls on a Saturday, because then you have Sunday and it's a party atmosphere. When you're coming on Tuesdays and Wednesdays and all of that, it's not easy to get the crowd up, you know what I mean? Because, you know what I mean, people are tired as it is and got shit to do the next day. But definitely these two giant entities, as I say, was able to come through and rock out. It was a pleasure to see it, and we was blessed to be able to see it, you know what I mean? These guys being able to still perform 30 years deep into the game. So big up Wu-Tang Clan, big up Nas, New York State of Mind tour, smashed it, Vibe by Water TV. Come back for another one. I'm back in this bitch, believe that, and we out. Back.